The question on today's podcast, am I too liberal? There's a reason I'm talking about that. We're covering it today here on Building Bridges. Coming up. Hey everybody, if you're watching us on YouTube, I hope that you'll hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. Today I'm going to talk about things that are very personal to me. Over the past few years, I've been on kind of a journey of understanding who I am, my beliefs in the Lord, and who I am as an American as well. What I have found is I'm in this weird box, or this weird category, where my conservative friends think I'm way too liberal and my liberal friends think I'm way too conservative. I'm like kind of in the middle here. And there's some reasons I'm in the middle, and some of the things I'm going to talk about today you may not agree with, and that's perfectly fine, but I'm going to explain something that I think exists for a lot of people. Evangelical culture, the ones that are loudest get all of the attention. And the loudest ones right now would be conservative-minded, Republican-minded Christians. The ones that are rising up against COVID, the ones that are denouncing things like Black Lives Matter as a terrorist organization, the ones that are calling Democrats evil socialists. And as I have lamented this on social media, as I have challenged some things on social media, I'm finding other people believe as I do, but they don't want to say anything because of the cost or having the pitchforks come their way. For me personally, I look at my Bible, I look at American evangelical culture, and I see that they don't line up. Here's some reasons why I think this. The first thing has to do with the adoration of President Donald Trump. This has nothing to do with politics. I understand people like Donald Trump because of the things that he has done on behalf of the things that Christians are passionate about. I completely understand that. The issue that I have had with Christians is how much they seem to praise Donald Trump and dismiss the unbiblical things, the things that are immoral from his life, and catapult him basically to a cult status in evangelical culture. If you look back when Bill Clinton had an affair with Monica Lewinsky, a slew of prominent Christian leaders, well-known Christian leaders, came out and said Bill Clinton was an immoral man, unfit for office. When the scandals have come up with Donald Trump, the things that have been recorded about what he says about women, the way that he's done several things that are considered very immoral in the Bible, those things have never been addressed other than the fact they say Donald Trump is a baby Christian. Is he a baby Christian? I don't know. I'm not God. I'm not going to say who's saved and who's not saved, but one thing I can tell you is that I have yet to see anything that shows any type of repentance for anything he's done. He's been asked if he needs to ask God for forgiveness, and he's dodged the question. And there's this montage of videos that you can watch where he deflects anything talked about Christianity. Whether he's a Christian or not, I do not know. But one thing I can tell you is that I have a very hard time as a Christian coming out to support Donald Trump. I have paid a tremendous cost for that with friendships, with relationships, with fellow pastors. They're upset about it. And I've had other friends tell me that their families have turned on them and called them evil and just demonized fellow Christians who disagree. Look at Beth Moore. Beth Moore came out and essentially said as a woman, as a Christian woman, she could not support the things that other Christian leaders were saying about Donald Trump, and she paid a terrible price. People don't like to hear these things. What I think is happening in American evangelicalism is it's become so political that it's being emptied of its biblical integrity. They're like the Pharisees. The Pharisees wanted political power and influence so much that when Jesus actually came among them, they killed him because they didn't like what he has to say. I'm really fearful that evangelicalism is going in that direction, that we care more about laws, more about what's going on politically at the sacrifice of our witness and care for the lost people. I think it's dangerous. When you endorse a political leader and then something comes out about them, you have to hem and haw and make up all these excuses except for deal with the truth. They feel the need to justify everything they do, and I cannot do that as a Christian. I can't do that. Interesting, Albert Mohler, who is a very, he was the president of the Southern Baptist Convention, when it came out about some of the things that's going on with Donald Trump, he actually said, I cannot, if I was to speak for Donald Trump, saying that he's good and endorse him and all that, I would have to go back and I'd have to give Bill Clinton an apology for all the stuff I said about him. I'll put some links below, some of the stuff that I'm talking about. But the people who just hammered Bill Clinton have wholeheartedly endorsed Donald Trump and all the trappings of immorality with him. And it's like completely different because he's the Republican candidate, not the Democrat candidate. That bothers me as a Christian, that when we get that political, it becomes more about American politics and less about biblical integrity. You can think whatever you want about politics, but when you elevate your opinion and you think that's God's opinion, that's where the ground gets very dangerous, because you think everything you feel, everything that's your opinion is handpicked and endorsed by God, and that's just dangerous line of reasoning. You have to be mindful. People vote for all kinds of reasons, and you can't demonize somebody because they don't agree like you do. The dismissal of racial issues in America. I have seen countless white pastors step up and say racism is no longer an issue in this country. That when the Civil Rights Law passed, it eradicated all racial issues. Now, I'm not saying that every single issue that happens with African Americans is because of systemic racism, that there's still racial issues in America, that there are enough people that are in minorities that suffer. When you're a white male and all leadership and the people who are the leader of your country, of the businesses around you, when you're the majority person in a culture, it's easy to overlook the plight of people who aren't like you. Christians need empathy. Empathy at the plight of the misfortunate. This is what the Bible says, that we're to look after the orphans and the widows, the less fortunate, that you have to make sure as a Christian that you're hearing what people who say they are suffering, what they have to say, and to consider that there might be some truth in that. That's sorely missing right now. I'm talking as a Christian, not as a political person, but as a human being driven by compassion and love, to take time to think, is there any truth in this? Is there any truth that there's still a scar and a wound in America for how black people were treated in early colonization? That even less than 100 years ago, Jim Crow laws existed. People were separated. Black people were treated like second-rate citizens. There's some wounds there. Just having empathy. It's one of the things that lacks sorely in American evangelical culture is empathy. That if you don't think like them and you don't fit in their group, you are demonized, you're ostracized, you're castigated as ungodly, evil, blinded by the devil, or a liberal socialist who hates America. That comes from the lips of people who say, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And that's a problem. It's why people are leaving the church. It's why a term like deconstructing is a buzzword among Christians. Is they're looking at what they've been told, they're looking at the way Christianity looks in America, and they're beginning to realize, I don't want to look like that. I don't want to associate with that. I do not want to be a part of a system that is anti this, anti that, that thinks COVID is not an issue, that dismisses racism, that seems to adore President Trump as if there's no issues there morally. That it's so far right conservative that there's no room for anything but what fits in that tiny box. A lot of people don't want to have anything to do with that. And I personally think for good reasons. I'm not saying if you think all those things, you're wrong, that you're evil, that you're ungodly. I'm saying people, not everybody thinks the way you think. It's something to think about. It's something to take time to sift through. People need the Lord. Do not let yourself get in the way. You guys have a blessed day.